So our creatures have been misbehaving.
Listen, Thomas here with the Westworld Loop Season 2, Episode 8, Kiksuya. And if you guys haven't subscribed already, make sure to do so. A show that loves to tell stories like they're puzzles. And every once in a while, we get pieces to this puzzle that were laid back, in this case, as far back as Season 1, Episode 1, the original. So I'll be mashing together some of the scenes from the first episode in the Season 1 finale that mixed together with the narrative that we got in our latest episode. First scene in which we hear Robert Ford talking to Bernard about the reveries, in which he states that mistakes will need to be happening more and more, and mistakes are actually evolution's finest tool. And then the Season 1 finale, when Ford is giving his final address to the board, and he speaks of someone who is able to see, someone that he created a new story for, which we of course know now that was Akecheta. It was able to blend in with the rest of the hosts and stay out of the facilities for so long. We're looking at all the variables that go into the narrative loops and all of the connections that the hosts have together with their storylines and how they depend on each other to a point. There is enough variables, and Lee even says it in the first episode here about how many can actually be taken out without affecting the hosts, to make, yes, Akecheta's absence from being brought in very, very suspicious, but at the very least, in assuming that Ford had a little bit to do towards the end with cloaking him to a point, that this is very possible, especially with the nomadic roaming scavenger storyline of Akecheta, which was not highly connected to any one host.
Immersion in 100 interconnected narratives, a relentless fucking experience. Now you pull one character, the overall story adjusts. You pull 200 at once, and it's a fucking disaster.
Season 2, Episode 8, Kiksuya, gave us a beautiful story within our story that shows how impactful the stories we tell each other really can be. This revealed something that was hidden from us in plain sight as well, that was actually explained in the first episode, which ended up being the jumping off point for the evolution of the hosts. This wasn't Dolores or Maeve or any other of the aspects that we have come to know as viewers as part of Ford's master plan. No, it was the actions of a overlooked Ghost Nation member, Akecheta, whose nomadic lifestyle, alongside a indigenous culture mixed with a little chaos from Arnold's original attempts to shut down the park, led to a beautiful chain of events that are in fact a oversight by Vale's staff and a flat-out mistake by Ford that allowed the sentience to sprout amongst the hosts. It's the evolution of the mistake.
Alpha. You're telling me that this host hasn't been updated in almost a decade?
We only update them when they die.
The story of Akecheta is a story Ford has been telling since Episode 1, a story of evolution's most effective tool, the mistake.
It has some mistakes. Is the word you're too embarrassed to use. You ought not to be a product of a trillion of them. The evolution forged the entirety of sentient life on this planet using only one tool: mistake.
This callback to our first season and some of the great evolutionary themes of both Westworld and our own world is a welcome answer to a, many ways, answerless question. One's own free will and consciousness isn't something we ourselves can prove nor disprove, even using such brilliant concepts as the bicameral mind as your basis. This is a question of intelligent design and evolution itself.
Message be, the divine gift does not come from a higher power, but from our own minds.
Since I was a child, I've always loved a good story. I believe that stories helped us to ennoble ourselves, to fix what was broken in us, and to help us become the people we dreamed of being. Lies that told a deeper truth.
The train will be departing soon. Thank you for visiting Westworld.
I got this. A prisoner of our own sin.
This is the wrong world.
Because you don't want to change. Or cannot change. Because you're only human after all.
But then I realized someone was paying attention. Someone who could change.
So I began to compose a new story for them. It begins with the birth of a new people.
And the choices they will have to make.
The train
and the people they will decide to become.
If you guys have not already subscribed, make sure to do so. I have a Game of Thrones live stream with Kev from the Bridge 4 and LMR on Friday, June 15th, where we will be discussing the prophecy and the parentage of Jon Snow and how this affects his actual story arc, as well as the Before the Dust Settles after show for Westworld Season 2, Episode 9, which will have a guest host, W. Axel Foley from the Westworld Theory Cast, along with my regular co-host, Hex Dogma.